Which quick commerce app do you use? Instamart, Zepto, or Blinkit? You may have a clear preference, but what's driving that choice? Did you just start using one app and then got habituated to it? Or is there something deeper driving your stickiness to one app? I'm Saurabh, and today in this three-way Digital Experience Showdown, we're going to answer the question about which quick commerce app is really winning the digital experience game. I can promise you that even though on the surface these three apps might look very similar, there are notable differences that go a long way in actually driving user preference. So let the battle begin. This showdown is going to feature 5 rounds of battle. Variable number 1 is first fold impact. This variable essentially is about how do you use the space that you get in the first scroll efficiently. Now this is the first thing that a user sees, and at a blink test level, which app is able to give you a sense of the breadth and depth of its inventory at a glance. So let's compare all the 3 apps on this variable. Let's start with Instamart. If you go to Instamart, you will see that they have a search bar at the top, and then below that they have a row of icons. Actually, all 3 apps have the exact same thing. They're all following this basic structure, but what's different is actually below these 2 elements. So let's unpack Instamart first. Instamart actually is using this space quite efficiently. They have category icons that they are showcasing right up front. If you total up all the category thumbnails I can see, you can see about 11 in total. And I think that's pretty good use of real estate. That gives me a sense of what's the breadth and depth, what all I can buy, and I can immediately start clicking on some of those categories to start my purchase journey. On the Zepto side of things, if you look at the first fold, the search bar is common, the row of icons is common. I believe the row of icons doesn't really make a difference, actually none of the 3 apps, because that's mostly a blind spot. Most people either search or start scrolling by getting fixated on the visuals. So the row of icons I don't think makes that big a difference. But below that row of icons on Zepto, it's actually just a banner overload. There are no real category thumbnails, and all you see are just banners shouting out deals and offers. So from a real estate perspective, really poor usage of what you can do on the first fold to showcase your breadth and depth. Let's look at Blinkit. Blinkit, similar search bar, row of icons. Below, you can see about 3 category thumbnails and of course a lot of banners showcasing offers and deals. So not as bad as Zepto, but of course way behind Instamart in first fold impact. So from a first round perspective, I would say Instamart is way above, heads and shoulders above both Zepto and Blinkit in terms of how it uses its real estate in the first scroll. Round 2, let's look at a variable called homepage harmony. Now we all know that India's quick commerce ecosystem has been exploding. From when it started to today, essentially you can get anything from bread and eggs to kitchen appliances and iPhones and everything in between. So as a result, what's happened is you can look at any of these 3 apps and you will see an explosion of inventory. And they're all trying to fit in a lot within a small mobile phone screen. So homepage harmony essentially is a variable that looks at when you start scrolling through the homepage, in every scroll, do you still feel like you're part of the same store? Or every scroll you feel like you're somewhere else? Is there any connectedness across all the visual elements you come across as you scroll down? Or it all feels like a complete disconnected mess? So let's look at Instamart first. Of course, as you start scrolling through Instamart, it's a really long scroll with lots and lots of categories and sections, and each category has opened up some of the products inside it and you have the choice to see more. And each category has been kind of treated a little differently. The styling is quite different. The palette is very, very different. Somewhere it's 4 thumbnails, somewhere it's 3 thumbnails, somewhere it's 2, so there is no consistent column grid, and the sizes are very different of the cards also. So as a result, I think as you look through the homepage, I wouldn't say there's much harmony here. There's quite a lot of inconsistency, and there definitely seems to be a feeling that I'm wandering through warehouse rather than a store when I go through the entire homepage. Let's jump over to Zepto. If you thought Instamart is chaotic, well, then you ain't seen nothing yet, because Zepto is chaotic at a whole different level. I mean, it seems like hasn't even been an attempt to create any kind of order in this chaos. Any kind of element, grid, I think anything has been used anywhere. And also they've tried to actually show a lot of category icons without opening up specific categories and showing what's inside it. And then after those category icons finish, then there's like a 2-column kind of grid of just randomly selected products just showing up in an endless scroll, which is quite long, but frankly not very useful, and creates a sense of complete disorganization. Let's go to Blinkit. On the Blinkit side of things, actually refreshingly, things look much more organized and coherent. Each scroll feels like you're part of a cohesive whole. You're part of actually a smartly curated supermarket rather than wandering through the mess of a warehouse. And that's what I think most users would like to see, rather than feel completely confused or overwhelmed. And of course, there are lots of sections, just like in the other two apps, and lots of products, but still they have managed to create an order to this whole homepage scroll. And I would say amongst all three, I would give this round to Blinkit just because of the ability to create more harmony throughout their entire long scroll homepage. Round 3, let's talk about a variable called depth perception. Now, this is a variable that I had to invent to talk about one very important aspect of any online store, is the ability for the app to create a perception of how large the inventory is in a store. So which of these 3 apps is creating the perception that their inventory is quite large? Let's talk about Instamart first. Now, we talked about the homepage scroll and how there is a sense of inconsistency across that homepage and not that much harmony. But in terms of giving me a sense of how large the inventory is, actually I feel when looking through that the inventory is truly really big. And every now and then you get these horizontal banners across all the vertical stacks that I happen to notice, and it gives me a very clear sense that they have a very, very long tail of products, everything from mangoes to kitchen appliances to electronics to vitamins to personal care to home furnishing, and of course all the daily essentials also. So I think from a depth perception perspective, Instamart comes across as a store that has a lot of stuff in it. Let's go to Zepto next. Now, Zepto was the first player in quick commerce. Obviously, they had a first mover advantage. Now, are they really creating a perception that their inventory is large? If you start scrolling through the homepage, because of the way it's been organized, it actually feels that their inventory is really small. After showing a few scrolls of category thumbnails, they just get into that 2-column grid of eclectic mix of products, and suddenly you realize, well, what do they really have a lot of things, or are they really lacking in products compared to the others? On the Blinkit side of things, it's quite uniform. There's a lot of harmony on the homepage, and actually does compete with Instamart in terms of depth perception. You actually get a sense that there's a lot of stuff here in this store, and you can possibly buy everything under the sun here. Now, pop quiz. If you actually count the product categories in all these 3 apps, what are the real numbers of categories across these 3? So does the perception match the reality? Instamart's perception of depth actually matches the reality. So they have about 52 product categories, and their design is actually doing a good job of ensuring that the reality matches the perception. On the Zepto side, their categories are actually 39. So, about 10 or so less, but they feel actually quite small. They feel much smaller than the 39 categories they have. Whereas on Blinkit, their categories are 36, almost similar to Blinkit, but they feel that their categories are almost similar to Instamart. So even though Blinkit has fewer categories, their ability to craft that homepage scroll gives the impression that they have a lot of stuff, and Zepto is actually losing out because their depth perception is quite poor. So from depth perception perspective, I would give this round to Instamart. Round 4. This variable is called reorder velocity. Now, in any quick commerce app, I think the key to building habits is allowing people to order things that have already ordered quickly and conveniently. I would like to quote the Pareto principle here. I would take it even a step further. Not just 80% of your orders are from 20% of the products, but I would say 95% of the orders are from the 5% of the things in your product list, and that's how actually most people buy things. So which app is doing a good job of that? Let's talk about Instamart first. They do have an order again link at the bottom nav. You could click that and they show you the stuff you've ordered before, and you can easily just add that back to the cart and place your order. So yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. They have the feature and you can find it quickly. Surprisingly, on the Zepto side, they don't have any kind of feature that allows people to reorder quickly. If you go into your profile section in your account, you do have an order history section which says called My Orders, which is just about showing you your transaction history, and maybe the only order you can place again quickly is the one you made last, and that's about it. So surprisingly, there's a glaring lack of this feature when it comes to Zepto. On the Blinkit side of things, I think they're doing the best job of all three on this one aspect. If you go to their reorder feature on the bottom nav, not only are they showing me what I've ordered before, but they have applied some intelligence to it. They've made categories out of things that I tend to order a lot and group them under frequent things, and the things that are snacks, and the things that are groceries, and things that are fruits, and I was quite blown away by that when I saw that actually. So this round, when it comes to reorder velocity, definitely goes to Blinkit for their ability to allow me to order the things I've ordered before really quickly. Round 5, we're going to talk about a variable called the wow layer. What are those features that are so innovative and unique that offer some serious delight to users? Seth Godin, who's a famous marketer in the world, wrote a book called Purple Cow, which was really about the only way to win in today's noisy world is to not just be a regular cow, but be a purple cow, essentially differentiate. So which app is differentiating through value-added features and offering not just delivery of products, but serious delight to users? Let's talk about Instamart first. I don't know if you've noticed this feature, but on the search bar, on the right-hand side of the search bar, there's an icon, which is essentially a shopping list icon. When you click that icon, you have the ability to scan an existing shopping list you might have, or speak and create your shopping list, or just start typing in that feature and start creating a shopping list. Now, you might think, what's the big deal about creating a list? Well, once you've started putting your items down, whatever number they may be, 10, 15, 20, there is a button called Let's Create Your Cart. And when you hit that button, it starts loading all of the things on your list and the product options for that all in one page, so you don't have to navigate 20 pages to actually fill your cart. It's such a smart feature that cuts down 90% of my work in searching again and again or browsing through various categories to actually start selecting a product. I was actually quite amazed by how cool the feature is and how much work it cuts down for users. So for me, if I had to pick that wow feature that Instamart is providing, it's that shopping list feature. Let's go over to Zepto. Actually, if you look at the search bar again, they have a prompt in the search bar, and it's probably something you've noticed but have ignored. But I decided to follow that chain and see where that leads me. And it says, type Nani ka ghar. And I typed Nani ka ghar, and it gave me this thematic category of products, all arranged around going to your grandparents' house in summer vacations. And guess why they have that going right now? Well, because it's summer vacations for kids. And for most kids, going to your grandparents' house, your Nani ka ghar during summer vacations is an actual, thing that they really look forward to. And I thought it was a really, really smart and really well done theme that they built around a specific time of the year, and I think everybody will relate to it. And the page ends with "to all the nannies in the world." So I think it really hit all the emotional notes, all the nostalgic notes, and from that perspective, I think it hit, my criteria for delivering wow. Now on the Blinkit side, I tried to find that one wow feature. It didn't really stand out to me. If you notice it, please do write to me about it. But in the search itself, if you actually click on the search without typing anything, you will land on a search page that starts pushing you certain things. And one thing that was interesting to me is products that are trending in your city. And I was actually quite intrigued to see what are the things that Mumbaikars are buying. And one of the things, apparently that Mumbai is buying right now is water bottles. So it's a fascinating thing to go look at and see, I live in the city and what are the people in the city buying, and I think it creates an interesting kind of social proof. So maybe not like mind blown by this feature, but an interesting differentiator, and I think social proof of course goes a long way in getting people to purchase more. So if I had to just rate these 3 apps on who is creating a serious level of wow in terms of differentiated offering, I think Zepto definitely wins this round with their ability to create thematic product categories timed based on what's happening at this time of the year. 5 rounds are done. Let's look at the scorecard. Variable number 1, first fold impact. Clearly, Instamart was doing a way better job at showing the breadth and depth of their offerings at a glance to people right in that first scroll. Variable number 2, homepage harmony. Blinkit won that round by a fair margin. I think Zepto was way behind and Instamart was still quite chaotic in its homepage scroll. Variable number 3, depth perception. Instamart was doing a much better job of showing or giving the impression that there's a lot of stuff in their inventory in the store compared to the other 2. In terms of reorder velocity, which was variable number 4, clearly Blinkit was doing a fantastic job, not just showing me what I've ordered before, but applying some intelligence to it. And finally, from the wow perspective, Zepto won that round. So from an overall score, I think it's 2 rounds each to Instamart and Blinkit, and Zepto won only 1 round. So it's clear to see that when it comes to digital experience, Zepto is lagging behind and Instamart and Blinkit are neck to neck. But of course, their strategies are slightly different. Instamart is focusing on creating a perception of abundance and using something that I would call kind of a controlled chaos strategy, trying to not have too much uniformity and allowing people to attract attention towards certain categories and long tail products that they're featuring. On the Blinkit side, I think their focus is more on uniformity and simplicity and trying to give people an impression of being structured and simple to use. If you look at the market share numbers for quick commerce in India across these 3 players, Blinkit has the highest market share, 44%, followed by Zepto, which is at about 30%, and Instamart, which is at about 23%. I'm not surprised that Blinkit has the highest market share. Of course, they have the largest network of dark stores around India, and that's being backed up by a pretty good digital experience also. Zepto, I think, is lagging behind, and I'm not going to be surprised if Instamart actually catches up and closes that small gap pretty quickly, because they are actually doing a better job of the user experience, and Zepto needs to have a higher focus on providing a more seamless user experience. But let's see how these apps evolve, and time will tell how they're able to leverage digital experience to win in this hyper-competitive quick commerce landscape. So see you next time on Digital Experience Showdown.